Hello, my name is Devin with HDpiano.com, and in today's lesson, I'll be showing you guys how to play Delilah by Tom Jones. We've got a nice little piano arrangement worked up for you guys, and here's a little taste of what we're learning in this video. 1, 2, 3, here we go. Verse. All right, so we'll get through about that much in this first lesson video. And as you probably noticed, it's a lot of repeated notes, but what we're really going to focus on is practice strategies. Because if we're going to learn this whole song and be able to play it from top to bottom, it's going to take a lot of slow practice and a lot of focus on our technique. So we're going to go over some ways to just make sure that we're, doing everything right and playing it with proper technique, because it is a challenging piece despite being very repetitive. And of course, after this first part, the rest of the parts will be available over at HDpiano.com, so I hope you can join me there to learn the rest of this song. It's a fun one. Now, before I dive in, got a quick question. There's a lot of controversy surrounding this song, or maybe, I don't know, maybe not too much, but there has been some controversy because the lyrics do depict violence, and in particular violence against a woman. Obviously, a terrible situation, but it's told in such a fantastical story way that it's obvious that it's not, it wasn't Tom Jones' intent to advocate for anything like that. My question is just where do you fall on that spectrum of art and violence and how the two work together to create, maybe beautiful art, but when does it become too much? If you have any thoughts on that, comment below. I'm really interested in kind of art-related philosophy like that. Obviously a heavy topic, so if you'd rather not weigh in, then by all means, let's just move on to the lesson. So we're in the key of A minor. A minor, A, C, and E in the right. Here's middle C, A in the left. We're going to see this voicing a lot. This is a root position minor triad, and we're going to add a B. So minor is already dark enough, but this B just adds this crunch, some extra tension. And I may be wrong here, but I think this decision to orchestrate it like this with the xylophones and the strings and everything was probably to make it sound like stabbing. It's a very bright, cutting chord, and we play it staccato. So to play staccato, you want to be quick, but you don't want to be super tense. You don't want to be stiff, because you'll get super tired super quick. So you want to get the shape of this chord down and just make sure that you're able to just consistently land on it nice and gently, and then start to work up the speed. And notice that my hand is still pretty limber, but the notes are coming off as nice and short. All right, it's easy to just freeze up and be really stiff, but that is not going to help you get through this song in its entirety, because it's going to be a lot of that. So nice and relaxed, playing these 4 notes. And you can always start nice and slow. Slowly work your way up, and the tempo is roughly 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So that brings up another point, which is the tempo. It's in 3/4. So that means there's 3 beats per measure, so we count it off as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So we're going to see a lot of quarter notes, even though they sound really fast. First 4 measures is basically just the right hand playing those quarter notes, staccato quarter notes, until the left hand comes in with a really quick G. Da-dum. It's kind of very ominous, and it lands on an A, E, high A, E, and again, da-dum. All right, so that's just root, 5th, root, 5th with this occasional G. And it's notated as a 16th note. It's basically as late in the bar as you can play it to land right on A on the downbeat. So the whole intro is just that A minor chord in the right, staccato quarter notes with the left hand joining halfway through. Let's try it nice and slow. 1, 2, 3, here we go. Ba-bum. E, A, E, ba-bum. All right, so notice that my left hand is legato, connected. This is a bit dramatic, ba-boom. But from there on out, I'm not playing too loud, not too heavy. All right, so it's a bit of a discrepancy between the right and the left hand. We're going to see a lot of that in this piece. So staccato in the right, legato in the left. And you can just loop those 4 measures until it feels comfortable. Now moving on, we get to the verse, and and we hold the left hand for 2 measures. And again, and again, and then on that final one, we go down to E for our next 4 measures. So basically the first 2 measures are repeated. It's just that in the second loop, we have a quarter note in the left hand on the final beat. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 1. And here, 4th measure of the verse, or 5th measure, we land on E7. And what's happening here, which makes this part particularly challenging, is we are holding an E with our thumb while playing a chord on top staccato. So if it was challenging just to do staccato like this, it's even harder while you're holding a note and then being staccato with the other fingers. And again, the key here is staying relaxed. So that's something you just want to practice in your right hand for a while. All right, so that's E, G sharp, B, and D. That's an E7 chord. And we're going to start with just playing the first 2 notes of the chord, and then we'll add on that 3rd note on top, not including the E. 2 bars, and then the next 2 bars are just the full chord, but re-articulating the E. Okay, so that's what that looks like. So if we add the left hand, we're going to just arpeggiate up that chord. And for the next 2 bars, we land on a D. So again, E, G sharp, B, and D. That's just that same chord, but it's played in the bass line. Pretty clever little trick. And this is an E7 chord, which is the 5/7 of A minor. So it creates this tension, which is then resolved into the minor chord. Okay, so where were we? Well, 2, 3, 1. 2, 3, 1. Notice that left hand bass line. Consistent rhythm, but the notes are a little surprising. So we walk up, 3, 1, 2, 3, land on the D, 2, 3, 1, and here we just walk down to A, which gets us back on track for the rest of the verse. So that's from D, C, B, A. Now moving on, we're going to repeat the same 4 measures of the verse that we already learned. Bum, 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 bum. It's actually a direct repetition of the 8 measures of the verse. So we've essentially learned the entire verse and intro because there are really only 2 chords. So how about I play through the verse nice and slow, and then we'll just take a look at what's coming next with that A major chord there. So from the verse, 2, 3, here we go. Holding that thumb, staying relaxed. Bass line comes up, we articulate the right hand thumb, and again. Three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And here we are at A major. So here's where the right hand can finally relax and the left hand picks up a little slack. We'll learn the next 4 measures and then we'll call it a day. A major in the right, that's A, C sharp, E, and A. And we're gonna hold that for 2 measures, and then we're just gonna bring the top note down to A7, which is then gonna lead us to D minor. So that's like the 5/7 of the 4 chord, 4 minor. Anyways, that's maybe a little too much theory for some of you, but that's the left hand part. 3 identical measures, A up the octave, E. So root, root, 5th, root, root, 5th, root, root, 5th. Now walk up to C sharp to D. Okay, put those together. And here's where you can use a little pedal. All right, but up until that point, not really any need for pedal because that will drown out and make those staccato notes muddy. Anyways, that's all we've got for this video. We've made some solid progress. And remember that this is all about slow practice and relaxed technique. So keep that in mind as you're learning. And I'll see you over at HDpiano.com for the rest. But in the meantime, please like and subscribe here on YouTube and follow us on social media so you know what's coming next. All right, my name's Devin. We'll talk to you soon.